Hello, my name is Amynaylor. Thank you so much for being here. Today I would like to talk about two really easy approaches to jamming. So the first approach is call and response. And the idea with this one is that you get into some kind of groove, some kind of rhythm that you've agreed on or that you lock into as you jam. And then one player goes first playing something, like melody for instance, and the next player follows and fits in the next gap. And you kind of agree to have this back and forth, like a two-way even conversation. So I'm just going to show you an example of how that might work. So in this example, the two players found a groove that they could play together, that they knew that they could stay nice and locked in with, and then the first player improvised some notes. The second player then answered that call with some different notes, and it just went back and forth like that. Now, within that jam, you could start to find some repeating notes, like start to find things that sound nice, and copy each other, and start to get a little bit playful with it, and see if you can find motifs that start to repeat. And then that helps to really tie your jam together into almost something that sounds like it's pre-prepared, and sounds like it really naturally just flows. It's not just this random melody, then this random melody, then this random melody, and so on. You start to find those repetitions in the rhythms or in the directions that you're playing the notes and the shapes that you're making on the handpan, that kind of thing. And then that conversation really starts to lock in and really starts to make sense. And then whoever's listening to that jam can be like, wow, I know exactly what they're saying. I totally speak their language, you know? So yeah, start to, it's really about listening. Like I said before, really listen to what they're playing. And when you respond, play with that, echo that a little bit. And it goes both ways. Even if you are the caller going first, there are still going to be points where you're playing after them, right? So you can have that back and forth. So that's call and response. The second approach is chord progressions. So you might want to decide on a chord progression ahead of time. And if you've both got the same scale handpan, it's super easy. You're both going to be making the same shapes. And again, thinking about space, thinking about dynamics, thinking about getting out of each other's way. If you're going to be playing the same chords together over and over again, then you need to find ways to make that a little bit more different, so you're not just both playing. Because again, if you're not locked in completely, then it's going to get muddy, it's going to get messy really, really quickly, and you're going to have lots of clashing frequencies. So maybe decide, okay, I'll do rhythm, you experiment with it, you play around with it, or okay, we'll both play the same thing, but let's really listen to each other and bring it up, bring it down, and really, kind of start to play around with it and make sure we're not playing the same thing all the time. It's a little bit trickier, but that's that kind of natural flow as you get to know each other a little bit more in your playing, you can play with that a little bit more. So, like I just chose by accident, here's 3 chords for this jam. In this case, I'm playing on a D minor handpan, so we've got F, C, and B flat. These are 3 major chords. This is playing in the relative major of the D minor, which is F major. So ahead of the jam, I might decide, let's play these 3 chords together and see what happens. So here's an example of me, my sad and lonely self, jamming with myself on 3 chords. So in that example, player 1 held the same progression all the way through, keeping that structure. They didn't change anything all of a sudden, they didn't throw any surprises in there, they just kept it nice and steady, nice and safe, so that player 2 could explore and experiment on top of it a little bit more, start to throw in some melody where there was room for it, because the other person was only playing chords, really, with a few little bits of glitter. And then halfway through, player 1 decided, oh, you know, this really feels like it needs a lift. I'm hearing the other person getting a bit more excited. I'm feeling that energy too. I'm going to bring in some percussion in there and raise the dynamic a little bit. And so, you know, that became a two-way thing. Then player 1 started playing more high notes, really lifting it a little bit more. Again, really tuning into and listening to each other so that you can have that natural back and forth, that natural conversation within a structure. The reason why I really like structures in improvisation is because sometimes when you have too much room, too much space for creativity, there are too many decisions, there are too many options. It's like, okay, which one do I choose? What do I do? Is, you know, I'm just going to play everything. But if you create this framework and this box to exist within in your jam, then you have to make all these creative decisions in a smaller space. And it means that there's less room to go wrong, right? If you're sticking to the same structure, there's less room to go wrong, but you still have loads of room to do something creative with it and to really explore and play and experiment. And then as you know, get to know each other a little bit, maybe you've been jamming for like 20 minutes, it's like, right, okay, we need to change this up a little bit. Give each other a cue, you know, talk to each other, smile at each other, make eye contact. Oh my goodness, eye contact is so important when you're jamming, so that you can really get a feel for what the other person is feeling, where the other person is going, what their energy is. Yeah, and just be present, be in the room with each other, and smile at mistakes and laugh when things sound bad, because that will happen, and it's great. Those moments are amazing when something messes up a little bit and you both kind of catch each other's eye and laugh it off and think, oh, that was funny, that was silly, look at this amazing moment we're sharing together, isn't this great? Yeah, they're my favourite moments, is when we make mistakes. That's like, that's part of it, that's the point, right? So yeah, I hope that this is useful for you. Take this away and yeah, play, have fun, again, explore, experiment, and I'm excited for all of us to be able to go out into the world and jam together again, because that's, you know, that's what music's all about. So yeah, I hope that you have a chance to do that sometime soon, and I look forward to seeing you again in another video. Have a great week, and I'll see you very soon.